stereotype you because that's what constantly happens to different canine breeds. Many different breeds of dogs, including pit bulls, terriers, and a variety of other breeds, are considered dangerous and should have legislation against these breeds within the home, according to the government. Although there isn't legislation yet, we as a whole should work to control these stereotypes against dogs. Breed legislation should not be enacted due to the targeting of specific dog breeds instead of the main problem of behavior, training, and the history of the canine affect the reliability of the animal. And breed legislation would also be very expensive to maintain and upkeep. Firstly, breed legislation should not be put into place because it is targeting dogs that were used for dog fighting in the 1900s. The dog breeds that were used were terriers, pit bulls, mastiffs, and other breeds. So, I'm going to show you a couple of the breeds that were stereotyped against. This is a pit bull. Pit bull, pit bull, pit bull. And then another breed is a bull terrier. So they look like that, kind of like the target dog. It is the target dog. And then we also have mastiffs, which and then lastly, I felt like an important one to include are Rottweilers. All right. So, to continue on, the issue with these dogs is that they only had one job, which was dog fighting. They were never trained, never loved, never had the proper socialization that they needed in order to not be a bite risk. These dogs were used for fighting due to their powerful build, large bodies, and strong jaws. According to the AVMA, which is the American Veterinary Association, a dog that has been dog fighting, of course, will have a bite risk because that's all they've ever known, and that is their only job. But the breeds themselves do not cause a bite risk. Secondly, the history and the training of the canine is extremely important. A dog that is properly trained and socialized may cause a bite risk, but it's highly unlikely. But that is any breed, according to Van Roe and the Canadian Veterinary Journal. By placing legislation against the stereotypical dog breeds, there's still an opportunity for any dog to have a bite risk. Any dog that's not properly socialized, properly trained, and if you don't know the history of the dog, say if you get it from a humane society and they have a previous history, say of abuse, you don't know. So, by implementing a legislation against these animals, these breeds that were used for dog fighting, this would be detrimental because, lastly, if this legislation was put into place, it would be extremely costly, and there are not enough humane societies or shelters to take those breeds in. And there would be many euthanasias on dogs that shouldn't be euthanized just because of their breed, but they would be euthanized just because of their breed based on the legislation. Although, like I said, they would be euthanized, legislation already takes so much money to put into and to upkeep, and if we already have underfunded humane societies, how can you put more money into legislation for something like this when there are no, the humane societies are already so underfunded? Also, like I said, legislation is costly to keep in place, according to Ann Linder. There are too many mixed breeds now, also. So, this means that these mixed breeds, how do you know which breed they are? And how can you say this dog isn't a fit and you can't have it if there's legislation put in place, according to the AVMA. In conclusion, canine-specific breed legislation should not be put into place for many reasons, including a few of those being some I just listed. It is important to take away that these breeds aren't the only possible bite risk, because any dog can bite, any dog can lash out. It is all based on their history, their training, their socialization, because a dog that is more socialized is more likely to not have a bite risk. And there was a study that I read about that they did a study with golden retrievers and German shepherds, and they saw that there was no additional bite risk from the German shepherds, which should show that with proper training, proper care and love to the animal, and knowing the history of the animal, there should not be many bite risks. In addition to this, we should have more education from our veterinarians when you get a breed, so that you know what you're getting into, what kind of dog they are, what their habits are, and their activity level, to be able to provide for that dog. Because if you can't provide the dog a safe and comforting home, what says that they wouldn't provide a bite risk to you if you're not providing them a safe home? Like I said, more education, because I feel like there's never enough education and there's always so much more to be learned, especially about these different breeds that are typically used and looked at as mean dogs. I also genuinely thank you guys for listening, and I hope that you guys take away that we should do more research before getting an animal, and we should also look at the history and know the animal better, because it is not just based on breeds, it is based on the individual animal, because all animals have personalities and they are all different. Just like us, we are all completely different.